Hey guys, welcome friends and family to my channel. My name is Skylant, and today I'm going to give you my knee-jerk reaction to the reveal trailer of Smite Tactics, a new tactical CCG by Hi-Rez Studios. Okay, so the gods await your command. That's actually a really good title there for the video, because in this game, unlike other card games, tactical or otherwise, you are utilizing very powerful cards immediately throughout your entire gameplay. You have these cards, these god cards, that essentially act as generals, and they have active abilities. So it's really more akin to a true tactical game, something like Atlas Reactor, or maybe Labyrinth. Labyrinth is also a tactical CCG that has active abilities with different characters, sort of, kind of. So in Smite Tactics, you summon minions, which are going to act like normal cards, okay? You summon the card, and it has some sort of passive effect or something like that. Generally, it's very tied into the card, and it has a very specific target generally, or a very specific, use. But with the god cards and their abilities, it's going to be more general use and probably potentially very strong, and it's going to be on a turn-based cooldown. So it's not just a one-time active ability. If it is an active ability, no, it is a active that you can use every single turn. So it's going to be more like a normal tactical game. So you can have Ymir out there, you can have Freya out there, Zeus out there, and they all have their different abilities that every turn they can utilize, which is very different, because normally in card games, a card has its impact as soon as it's summoned, or it's a passive effect that passively, does things every turn or something like that. You don't have that much flexibility and that control, which is going to be very unique to Smite Tactics, and I think that really works in a tactical game. Of course, you should. In a lot of CCG tactical games, they borrow too many elements, too many random elements, and too many passive elements from other CCG games, and not enough elements from tactical games. So that's really freaking cool. I definitely want to applaud Hi-Rez for that. And it makes sense because they're fucking gods, okay? And the point is to show off the gods from Smite, so that makes sense. Now, of course, you do have your minion cards, which they're just going to work like other cards, so nothing special there. They're probably going to have very usual things, and I've already saw some abilities that are extremely usual, like charge, some might have flying, some might have ranged. They're going to have usual abilities that you've seen in any other CCG, but the god cards are special, and that makes sense. It's fucking Smite Tactics. It makes sense to focus on the gods. Okay, so now what else do we know about the game? Oh yeah, before we go any further, so that was my one congratulations, basically, that the focus on the gods and everything. That was my one congratulations. The rest of this video might get me some dislikes, because even though I love Smite, for one, I love MOBA games, I also love tactical CCG. I've even made a top 10 on my favorite upcoming tactical CCG. Now, if you watch that video, and if you have watched that video, you can see that every game in there has a unique playing field. They have very unique mechanics, and they all look very different from each other, okay? So, in saying that, and I know that you guys are probably still salty from the Paladins video, but for some reason, Hi-Rez, which in my opinion has the most potential to make the most unique tactical CCG out there, especially with, Smite. If they're going to utilize Smite, they could do some really crazy things, which already we've seen that they are. Okay, I give them that. But for some reason, Smite Tactics looks very similar to Duelyst, and specifically to Duelyst. And you know what Duelyst is, guys? You probably already know. It is the most popular tactical CCG right now. Yup. Now, aesthetically, I think it's got an edge on Duelyst because it is a 3D game. It is very clean, and it has recognizable characters. Even if you haven't played, Smite, that's fucking Zeus, okay? That's a Zeus. That's a Poseidon. So yeah, it's got a really recognizable and easy on the eyes art style, where Duelyst is honestly more original, I think far more artistic technically, but it's harsh on the eyes and it's more niche, honestly. So that's tragic, but that's just how it is, honestly. That's my objectivity coming out. But yeah, it looks a lot like Duelyst. And, the first second, as soon as they showed gameplay, I immediately thought to myself, wow, I bet this is going to be a lot like Duelyst. And I would not doubt if that has the same number of squares tiles in Duelyst. So I counted, I found a screenshot where I could count all the tiles, and the Smite Tactics board is 5 by 9 squares. Can you guess what Duelyst's board is shaped like? Yeah, shaped the exact same, 5 by 9. And the movement system is exactly the same. Yes, every character, there probably is going to be flying characters that potentially can move anywhere. There's going to be different characters that can actually break certain rules of the game, but for the most part, it seems that the movement is going to be characters can move up and down and left and right, 2 squares and diagonally by 1 square. Now, this is not, Duelyst is not the first game to do something like that, but just saying, same board shape, same movement rules, and from there, I'm betting that a lot more things are going to be very similar to Duelyst. Now, of course, there's going to borrow some ideas from Hearthstone. Yes, those ideas are also in Duelyst, but let's be honest, Hearthstone is the first one to do the mana count. You know, the mana, stacking mana, the fucking mana system, just entirely, basically. There's no intricacies to it. Every other game since Hearthstone has basically taken that mana system and literally just copied and pasted it. So I really honestly can't blame Smite Tactics at this point. It's a fucking great idea, and it's something that can make a lot of really fun gameplay. One thing, though, it doesn't have from Duelyst, which most of this video is going to be, you know, going back and forth comparing in the games, but it doesn't have a replace card button. So in Duelyst, you draw a card every turn. You used to draw 2 cards, but you draw a card every turn, and then you have the potential to replace a card every turn as well. So you can really get the cards that you want, and there's a lot less reliance on RNG. Really appreciate that. I don't see that in Smite Tactics right now. So yeah. I think that maybe they can go very RNG route, very similar to Hearthstone. They might do that with their cards. At this point, I don't know what the cards are going to be like. I don't know if they just simply add damage if the spells are overly complicated like Magic the Gathering. I really just cannot see the text. It's too blurry, and we haven't seen the game. We haven't played the game, so I can't say what kind of card game it is. Is it going to be crazy, ridiculous, and chaotic like Hearthstone, which is a turn off and a turn on? It's a turn on for casual players and a turn off to competitive players. Or is it going to be something a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more, you know, less RNG like Duelyst? I don't know. We can't see the cards there. What we can see, though, is, again, the playing board. We can go back to that, I guess. Now, I guess if you can just, like, sit on a screenshot and just kind of look at the board here, you can see that, yes, the board is 5x9, but it has some interesting aspects to it. And if you actually go to smitetactics.com, there is just like this one paragraph, and I'll read it, that it kind of gives a little bit of a hint toward the game, okay? So it says, introducing Smite Tactics. It's a turn-based strategy game from Hi-Rez Studios. Build an army from a large roster of mythological gods and creatures like Zeus, the Greek god of the sky, and Odin, the Norse Allfather. Now, it says creatures, so I don't know if we're going to go into mythology and they're going to count as gods. Like, if we're going to get, like, the Hydra, does that count as a god card, or is that a minion card, or is there going to be even in a whole nother section of cards, which would be kind of interesting. So, like, would they be called bosses, or would they just be called a creature card? Because there are cards that are called gods, you have cards that are minions, so is there going to be another card? See, again, another thing I don't know, which could, you know, tier the complexity immensely for Smite Tactics. Which, you know, even though it looks the same, the game could end up playing totally different just because of those little, you know, little things. It's a tactical game, so any extra tactics you add to it changes the game. I'm just saying. Anyways, continuing on. They then wage war in competitive multiplayer matches or single-player adventures. That's pretty cool. That's kind of similar to Hearthstone, and Duelyst also has a challenge campaign thing. Now, it's up to you to command your gods. Strategically position your forces to take advantage of the terrain. This is what I'm talking about. Strategically position your forces to take advantage of the terrain and unleash divine powers to defeat your foes. So it seems that there are certain cards, and I saw under them, it says the text divine. I don't know exactly what that means. I'm thinking maybe that's, maybe your god cast that spell. Maybe they need to be in certain range. I don't know. It just seems to be the spell cards. So I don't know if there's tiers of spell cards, which is, you know, pretty interesting. But it says, strategically position your forces to take advantage of the terrain. So in saying that, I'm thinking, because the game does focus on gods, that maybe whenever you cast a spell, it must be cast from a character, from a god character, instead of just being omniscient. Where in Duelyst, if you cast a spell, it's like you can cast it anywhere on the board at any time, always. Maybe that's not the case with this. And it seems that movement also, even though extremely similar to Duelyst, there is a big focus here on blocking, body blocking, which is pretty cool because if you actually look at the board, you see 3 boulders and you also see some bushes. Don't know if the bushes matter, but on all the different maps, the bushes are identical. You have 4 in the bottom and you have 3 on the top. You also have 3 boulders and they're always in the same position regardless of the skin of the map. So it seems that this is to balance out the map and to make it more interesting. So I think a lot of abilities are going to be line of sight oriented. Duelyst kind of has a system like that. You can body block in people. You do have lined abilities or like kind of not skill shots, but there are things that you have to line up abilities for. Like you can only shoot down in a cone or around you AoE. So I think that Smite is taking those concepts, hopefully elevating them, and rather than just copy and pasting them like they kind of did with Paladins. So we will see. I'm going to imagine, even looking at Paladins, which a lot of people do kind of consider copy-pasty, they do take the customization and they elevate it just a little bit more. And in Smite, they elevate the boxing, the auto-attack mechanic, and so Hi-Rez always takes ideas and then tries to tweak them and do just a little bit more or do something just a little bit different, despite, on the face value, what it looks like. So Smite Tactics looks a lot like Duelyst, but I'm thinking deeper down, and I know I can't say this for sure because I haven't played the game, but I think that it's going to focus a huge amount on the actual tactics, on the actual positioning of your forces. One square difference makes the difference whenever you have a boulder potentially blocking your entire attack. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe if you're trying to run away, but you're backed into that boulder, and since you can only move one square diagonally, it makes a bit more difference. Okay, so in Duelyst, instead of having the boulders, you kind of have this mana font system where if you run to the middle faster, you get more mana. So the person who goes first has a advantage at going first, of course. They have the initiative there with certain tactics and strategies, but it also takes them longer to get to the manas. So that's how they balance it. I don't know how Hi-Rez is going to balance their first turn advantage, but it seems like maybe the boulders might come into play because I think one boulder is positioned one square further to the right than the left one is to the left. Potentially, I don't know. The screen's kind of wibbly wobbly in this trailer. So yeah, I mean, we'll see that. That's always something to mention. In Hearthstone, you get the coin, for your first turn advantage. And that's always something that I think CCG players want to know. How does first turn advantage, how is that settled? So this game seems to be aiming to be competitive. All of Hi-Rez's games have aimed in some respect to be competitive. So don't worry about that. There's a huge backing. It probably will be competitive even in the alpha and beta. So this is definitely a game to look forward to. And I think it's going to be extremely approachable with its graphics, with basically everything about it. Again, my knee-jerk reaction is that it's copying a lot from Duelyst, but then again, Duelyst hasn't, even though it's the most popular tactical CCG, and it's the one that's in the public eye the most, it's still just not that popular. I would still kind of consider it niche. It's no Hearthstone. And RuneScape Chronicles, also totally unique game, really ridiculously unique, but it's not quite the same. So Smite Tactics, I guess I'm not okay with it copying Duelyst to such an extent, especially when I have played all these other tactical CCG and I have seen how unique the boards can get, how unique mechanics they can have. But then again, really only Duelyst is the one that's actually kind of doing anything. Faria, a close second, I think. RuneScape Chronicles, a third. But I think Smite Tactics, if it were to, kind of take inspiration from a game, it's got to be Duelyst. So yeah, Smite Tactics is head-on tackling Duelyst, and honestly, as much as I love Duelyst and I want it to succeed, I think Smite Tactics is the game to get behind because Hi-Rez is very supportive of their games, except for Tribes Ascend and Global Agenda, but hey, they're supportive of their really popular IPs, and that's Smite, which is really good that they're expanding on the Smite universe with a little bit with Paladins. I think Paladins is connected, right? And of course, Smite Tactics, so that's my knee-jerk reaction. It's probably going to be a good game, even if you think it copies a lot of ideas from other games, and I really fucking do, and I kind of wish they were more original. The truth is that this is probably the best from a business standpoint, and probably, if this game succeeds, it will probably further innovate than Duelyst ever could hope to do. So, yeah. I do play Duelyst, guys. I play the Abyssian. I basically main Abyssian. I like playing with the creep. I think so. That's my background. I play all these different CCGs. I have done a top 10 upcoming tactical CCG. Honestly, I might have to rewrite it and put in Smite Tactics because I'm pretty hype, despite most of this video probably sounding very negative. The truth is, I'm still going to play it just like I do Paladins, and this is probably just a really smart idea from Hi-Rez versus being heartfelt and super creative in ways I think they maybe could have done a little bit more. But then again, we'll see. We will see, because that's what Hi-Rez does. They have the really unique stuff kind of under the hood, which makes it very fun as competitive games. They're fun, easy to get into as casual games, but when you go under the hood, there's a lot of complexity. So yeah, I'll give Hi-Rez that. So benefit of the doubt, Hi-Rez. If I keep seeing more copycat stuff, I'll still be salty, but fuck it if I don't play it. God dang it, I will. So thanks for watching, guys. Yep, that's it. That's all I have to say. That's my knee-jerk reaction. I will play Smite Tactics as soon as possible. I will probably get a review key, and then we'll jump in, and hopefully I'll see you in there. So, thanks for watching. I'm Skylent, and I'll see you guys again next time.